So hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to discuss about acid, bases and salt. Okay friends. So friends, let's start this lesson. So friends, you must have seen there are so many substances around you which are either acids or bases or salt. For instance, the lemon which we is has acid component in it. Okay. Another example is tomato. In tomato, what kind of acid is there? In tomato, there is oxalic acid. I'm writing it over here. Okay. Lemon, there is a citric acid. Okay. So in your surroundings, there are so many, you can say, substances that you see in everyday life, which are either acids or salt. So in oranges, there is also in oranges also there is a citric acid. So now in tomato, if we discuss about tomato tomato, there is a oxalic acid. There is a oxalic acid in it. Okay. So let's discuss few more example. Discuss about vinegar. In vinegar, there is a acetic acid in it. So in vinegar, there is a acetic acid in it. Okay. So in this way, we saw that there are so many, you can say, you can substances which you see in everyday life, which are either acids or bases or salt. Okay, friends. So now let's discuss about, yeah. So friends, now let's discuss about some properties of acid. So acids are little sour in taste. Acids are sour in taste, and they turn blue litmus paper red. Okay, okay, friends. So acids are relatively sour in taste, and they turn blue litmus paper. So if we use indicator blue litmus paper, if it is blue and if you dip to the acid, it will turn as red. Okay, so this is the important property of acids. Okay. So if we discuss about few important examples, so it's hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, citric acid, lactic acid. So there are so many examples, okay, around you which are acid, bases, and salt. So you must be aware about lactic acid, the milk that you drink. So it has a lactic acid in it, okay. It has lactic acid. Curd which you eat in your dinners and lunch, it also has a lactic acid, okay. So there are some mild acids and there are some, you can say, strong acids. So you can say that this hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, and nitric acid, they are very strong acids. So they are relatively much more strong acid as compared to uh, other acids, for instance, whether it is lactic acid, whether it is citric acid. So they are relatively weak acid. For instance, other organic acids, they are, you can say, weak acid. Okay. Now let's discuss about bases. So what are the properties of bases? They are bitter in taste. We discussed about acids. Acids, what kind of taste do acids have? They are sour in taste. Okay. But on the other hand, bases, they are slightly bitter in taste. थोड़ा कड़वा होता है. Okay. And they turn red litmus paper blue. Okay. On the other hand, what we saw that acid, they turn blue litmus paper red. But on the other hand, what we see in case of bases, it turns red litmus paper blue. Okay. So what are the examples of bases? It's sodium hydroxide, it's lime water, you can say calcium hydroxide, ammonium hydroxide, baking soda, and soap. So the soap that you use, the toothpaste that you use, so it is example of base. Okay. So there are everyday example. There are so many substances that you can see. They are either acids or bases or salt. Okay. So now, friends, let's discuss about indicators. So what are these indicators? Uh, how do we identify that whether that particular substance is, whether it is acids or bases or salt? How do we identify? We try to use indicators. So what are these indicators? Let's try to discuss. So when we test particular acid with litmus paper, so as I have already discussed, in acid it will turn red. Okay, in acid it will turn as red, and in bases it will turn blue. So in this way we can see how we can uh, we can identify whether that particular liquid is acid or bases or salt, or sorry, acid or base. Okay. So another important indicator is turmeric. So if we test any particular liquid in particular, you can say whether it is acid or bases. So in turmeric, if we test that whether that particular liquid is acid or bases, so that particular liquid will in acid it will turn yellow. Okay, in acid it will turn yellow. On the other hand, in bases it will turn red. So this is we can see how we can test that particular liquid whether it is acid or basic. Okay, another important indicator is phenolphthalein. So if we test phenolphthalein in acid, it will turn as colorless. It will turn as colorless if we test whether that particular liquid, so if that liquid will be acid, it will turn colorless. Okay, and if that particular liquid you can say if that you can say if the color of phenolphthalein turns pink, then we can say that that particular substance or liquid is base in. So this way we saw that this way we can say we can identify whether that particular substance is acids or bases. Okay. Yeah, so we are discussing about neutralization reaction. Okay, we are discussing about neutralization. So what is neutralization reaction? When acid reacts with base, the resultant product is salt plus water. Okay, when acid reacts with base, what what does it lead to? What it leads to formation? It leads to formation of salt and water. Okay, so one example, see it's given over here. If hydrochloric acid is reacted with sodium hydroxide, then what will it form? It will form sodium chloride plus water. Okay, so in this way we can see how this can say how neutralization reaction works. So if any acid is reacted with any base, what will it lead to for what will it form? It will form salt and water. Okay, and we have so many examples of friends. We have so many examples of substances. You can say in not substances in daily life that I can give you that I can tell you that this neutralization reaction works. I'll discuss this in later chapter. So these are some examples. So let's discuss about indigestion. So you must have suffered from indigestion at some point of time or the other. So why indigestion is caused? So do you know in your stomach, friends, students, do you know that in your stomach there is a hydrochloric acid? There is hydrochloric acid in your stomach. So whatever you eat in your stomach, it is digested by this particular acid. It is released within your stomach. Okay, it's a very strong acid and it is very powerful acid. It so what happens? It helps in proper digestion of food. Okay, this hydrochloric acid. But what happens when there is too much of acidity in your stomach? What happens? You feel you feel that your stomach is paining. Okay, and when your stomach is paining, then what happens? uh, how do you cure it? You use antacid, which is basic in nature. So as we have discussed, neutralization reaction, what is neutralization reaction? When acid reacts with base, it leads to formation of salt and water. And in this way, because excess of acidity causes you pain, and so when you treat it with, you can say, antacid, it is base in nature, and in this way, this reaction get neutralized, and you are relieved of that pain. Okay, so this is one example. So let's discuss other example. Soil treatment. So acidic soil are very infertile. They cannot support plant growth. Okay, friends. So we have to treat that particular acidic acid with proper, you can say, base in order to restore the fertility of the soil. So we try to add lime in that soil. So lime is a basic in nature. So when soil is acidic and infertile, we add lime, and which is basic in nature, and in this way we try to neutralize the reaction, and you can say uh, soil fertility is restored. So another example of neutralization reaction. Okay, friends. So let's take another example. Pea sting. So I don't know whether you have must have some at some point of time bee has bitten you or not. Okay, so so whenever bee bites, it releases, you can say, formic acid. It is also a formic acid. Why do we feel pain? Because when it bites, releases that acid in your skin, and when you can, I think it is formic acid. Okay? When formic acid is released in your skin, it pains you a lot, and it when it pains you, what you have to do, you have to apply base in order to neutralize reaction. Okay, friends, so this is another example of you can say neutralization reaction. Okay, so let's discuss another example, factory emission. So in factories, must have seen factory chimneys. Okay, must have seen factory chimneys. Let's say this is let's say if this is factory, and there is a chimney attached, and very harmful gases are released. So what are these harmful gases? It is sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide. So these are very harmful in nature. So how it is harmful? What happened? Suppose rain occurs. Okay, suppose rain occurs, then water combines with these harmful gases. Then water combines with these harmful gases. What it leads to formation? Leads to formation of sulfuric acid, H2SO4, 2SO4, O3, okay, and nitric acid. So whenever whenever it rain occurs, what happened? Water combines with these harmful gases like sulfuric acid and nitric acid, and very harmful acidic rain occurs. Okay, because these acids are very strong, it tends to corrodes the building, and it causes a lot of damage to property. So what corrective steps we have to take in order to avoid this? What steps that we have to take? We have to, in chimneys, we have to install some kind of base. So what kind of base do we use? We use lime. We use lime here. If we install lime over here, so the reaction get neutralized. If we install some kind of lime over here, so the neutral reaction get neutralized, and you can say uh, the reaction get neutralized, and you can say harmful gases are neutralized. Okay, so this was another example. One more example I can give you. uh, for example, teeth. You must have seen how does tooth decay occurs. I don't know. So you must have cavity. You must have caused cavity in your teeth. Why does this cavity occurs? Why does it occurs? And what happens when cavity occurs? How does cavity occurs? Because your teeth consist of. Let me explain you. Your teeth consist of enamel. Enamel. It is made up of calcium. Okay, it is made up of calcium. So what happens? Suppose you eat lot of acidic food. So as we have discussed, in lemon there is acid, in tomato there is acid, in curd it is acidic. So when you eat lot of acidic food, these acid, it reacts with your teeth enamel, which has calcium content in it. So this causes, and if you don't brush properly, so it causes cavity. Okay, it causes cavity in your teeth, and when it causes cavity, we have to treat it properly. So what does a toothpaste do? What does toothpaste do? So toothpaste is slightly basic in nature. Okay, and so when we treat, you can say, when we brush it, so this acidic, you can say, food, or whatever we eat which is acidic in nature, so toothpaste neutralizes that. Okay, and in this way we are relieved of that, you can say, tooth decay. So it's important that students, you should brush regularly, twice a day, so that your tooth decay is avoided. Okay, yeah, so now let's discuss about pH scale. Okay, so we have how do we identify whether that particular, what is the intensity of that particular acid? So it is a pH scale. From this scale we can identify whether how strong that particular acid or that particular base is. Okay, so if the pH number, so what is pH? It is a scale of 0 to 14. Okay, it is a scale of 0 to 14. You can see this is a pH scale. it is a scale from 0 to 14. So if the scale is less than 7, okay, so this is 7. I'll show you. So if this scale is less than 7, then it is, we can say that that particular liquid is neutral in nature. It is either water, so it is only water which is neutral in nature, okay. So if the particular, you can say, pH scale is less than 7, then it is acidic in nature. Now the lesser the value of pH is, the lesser the value of pH is, you can say, the more stronger the acid is, okay. So the lesser the level of pH is, I'm repeating, the more stronger the acid is. So okay, so there are some strong acid with lesser pH level, and there are some you can say milder acid with more pH level, okay. For example, we have, you can say, stomach acid. It is very strong acid. Hydrochloric acid, nitric acid, sulfuric acid, so their pH level lies between 0 to 2, okay, 0 to 2. So these are some strong acid, and pH level is very less, okay. So the lesser the pH level, the more strong is the acid, okay. Now if we discuss about base, so what is the pH level of base? Let's discuss. So uh, for pH level of base, if it is more than 7, and the more the value of pH level is from 7, you can say the stronger that particular base is, okay. So there are some base, like you can say sodium hydroxide, so it is a very strong base. And one example of mild base is blood. So blood is slightly basic in nature, okay? Blood, I think blood pH level is somewhere around 7.4, okay, 7.4 pH. So there are so many examples given, okay. So friends, so this is, we discussed about pH level, okay. So this was it, friends. Thank you very much for joining me.